A filter that I got. What is this? Oh wow, this is pretty cool. What is this? So I don't know if by doing this it's gonna help or anything, but fuck. What the hell is this? So I guess, you know, it's just oh my god, why am I so freaking... Okay, nothing's happening, sorry. So I guess, like, because everyone's at home and everything, and, you know, it's you know, why not? I got a lot of time to spare right now, so would I voluntarily jump into another universe, and if I knew I wasn't going to come back? That's a good question. You'll be leaving a lot behind, but if you're, I guess, if you're ready to just if you're in a midlife crisis, I think anyone will do that. Anyone will just kind of be like, you know what, fuck everything, and just go off. But, you know, hold on for a quick second here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, I was always curious about what it'd be like in a different universe of some sort. But hey, you know, it is what it is. And I technically think, yeah, I love Rick and Morty, man. That's like one of my favorite shows. That's like the one show that I feel like can really match up to how I would have thought of these things. And I think it does such an amazing job of really portraying just how actually real that could be, you know. I mean, obviously, like, not the one where, like, I think couches were like people or something, but then, yeah, I mean, again, you don't know. And then there's talks of, like, everything being a simulation. You know, this whole world that we're living in is actually a simulation of some sort, you know, and it's someone's sick game, you know, and it's like their way of playing God of some sort. But, you know, it just goes on and on and on. But the point being is, like, we're here, right? And we somehow managed to get to the point where we make memes and do all sorts of crazy ass shit, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, like, I feel like if we've done that, if, like, centuries of evolution and you know, it brought us to this very moment, this whole evolution has brought to this very peaking moment of making memes. It's just like, I feel like, yeah, man, like, at this point, I think, like, anything could just get, and nothing can get in anyone's way. You know what I mean? Like, we're that advanced. You know what I mean? Like, we're just that advanced, right? Yeah, you know, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, we all have a lot of questions. I don't know why I'm so, like, freaking bright. I'm just gonna turn that off. Yeah, man. I like that. Someone said they're changing batteries in birds. That's why we're all quarantined. Yeah, maybe quarantine is a diversion of some sort. You know, it's. I think that's a pretty good reason. You know, birds are starting to run out of batteries. Yeah, and I think that would be pretty cool. My goodness, I love to talk to animals. You know, if they just let me. I feel like they somehow know something that we don't. You know, granted, we just happen to be the, I guess, alpha species to have evolved. You know, but imagine if dolphins were the ones to have been the more dominant species. It's very possible. Um, yeah, it's very possible. Um, I mean, and I've asked this question a very long time ago, and it still confuses me some sort. But if if a dog, right, or any pet that you have, they have dreams too. It's scientifically proven, like dogs can dream too, right? So if that's the case, like they can also dream about like very weird things. It doesn't always necessarily mean they dream about, running around a crop field with, a couple of sticks in its mouth. But, they could also dream about, let's say, like their owner hitting them, because it's maybe at one point in the dog's life, the owner really did hit the dog. But, it's just because you don't mean it. But it's a dream, right? So what I'm trying to say is, like when the dog wakes up, just like how a person wakes up from a nightmare, for a split second, a human is able to acknowledge the fact that it was a dream, kind of succumb over that feeling. But now, is a dog smart enough, or any pet smart enough, to acknowledge that that was a dream if, say, the owner did hit the dog in its dream, and it woke up, and, and then it saw its owner, would it actually believe that the owner hit the dog, or hit it? Would it understand that psychology? Would it have that mentality? I don't know, man. Fuck. And yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not high, but a lot of people assume that I'm high every time I go on my little rants. But hey, man, I don't blame you guys. Like, this is what people talk about when they get high. So for me, I don't need to get high to talk about stuff like this. It would start hating the owner if it wasn't smart enough. You're right. It's interesting. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Is there any other interesting topics? Yes. Vampires. Right. So, like, is vampires are a thing? Like, do they actually exist, or did someone actually, I don't know, decided to create some myth-like creature, or did it have some part in the history somewhere? So it would have gathered some sort of inspiration of some sort, right? I mean, it couldn't have just been something thought up, there must have been some link towards that, or the inspiration behind it. It must have been from somewhere, right? And as we know, like, we tend to gather a lot of our inspiration from something that's not to the point of maybe not 100% real, but it could have been somewhat similar, right? Werewolves, okay, maybe werewolves are a little bit harder to believe than vampires, but it's quite funny. It's quite interesting, the whole idea of the vampires living forever, they're in the age of or whatnot. It's quite interesting. It's an interesting concept. If you really think about the concept, it's very well thought out. Drinking on blood and all that type of stuff. It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. A werewolf. I've always wanted, if you could choose between a werewolf and a vampire, what would you choose? I don't know, I'll choose a werewolf. But I feel like the way people portray werewolves, it's a very painful process of transforming into a werewolf. And I can see why, because you're pretty much changing into a dog. Sorry, not a dog, a wolf. And I just can't fathom how that must feel. You know, it would be pretty fucked up if you're molding and you're transforming, and you know, and then all of a sudden you're like some fucking frog, and it's just like what the fuck, man? Like, how do you sign up for this shit? And then, you know, like, that would be pretty funny. Like, I think that would be pretty cool. If, like, in a movie, you show the process of someone looking at the moon, and it goes to the point of, like, you have their teeth and their fang coming out, and, you know, the hair's coming out, and all of a sudden it's just, like, just goes poof, and they go into, like, turn into this, like, green leaf frog. That would be something else. Yeah. But, you know, that's just me. I just thought that would be a lot more interesting than have them actually turn into like a freaking, yeah, like a wolf man or something. Yeah. You know, I've seen a lot of videos where people think giants were a thing. You know, and you know, I don't detest that at all. I really do think that at some point maybe there were giants in this world. You know, there's a lot of people that somehow have discovered bones of giants, and I found that very interesting. You know, I thought, yeah, of course there could be giants. You know, could have been giants, or it could have been like people that had a I don't know. You know, that growth disability where they start growing out like erratically. It could have been that too, but for a fact, you know, I'm pretty sure some people thought giants really did walk the earth at some point, and yeah, I mean, why not? Like, anything could have been possible. Just like leprechauns, you know. I think leprechauns are. I had an obsession with leprechauns when I was a kid. I have no idea why. And honestly, I didn't even know what leprechauns did, but I just remember this funny little Irish green elf with a red beard was always running around somewhere. And I just had this obsession with leprechauns, and I didn't realize they had like a pot of gold. Yeah. At the end of the rainbow of something. I don't know. I don't know if that's linked. And then you have unicorns, right? Like you kind of wish unicorns were a thing, but you know, it's just hard to get around, fathom that. It's really hard to come around that. Unicorns would have been a cool thing. It would have been a cool concept. Let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, man, I've seen those scary leprechaun movies. You know, like it's. For me, it wasn't a scary concept until someone made it a scary concept in a certain horror film, and from that point on, it did become a scary thing. Like, holy shit, what if the leprechaun that we all thought was very cute and cunning was like some scary ass demon motherfucker that was just waiting to jump out if you take a piece of gold or something. I think Supernatural had one of those episodes. I can't tell. Yeah, that would be pretty scary. And you wouldn't know how to fight it because it's so small and fast. Yeah, that would be pretty scary. Speaking of scary movies, I completely suck at watching scary movies. I have a tremendous fear when it comes to paranormal types of activities. It kind of, you know, it's like I'm getting kind of scared even talking about it, because I feel like just talking about it is alerting some presence around here that I'm scared, and you know, for some fucking odd reason, this ghost. Okay, I should just stop talking about it. It's kind of scaring me. But I did watch Hereditary. Oh boy, man. I don't know why. I don't know why the boys at DPR got me to watch that. Like, Jesus Christ. Midsummer, like I watched that. I think it was the same director or something. So Midsummer wasn't that scary. I thought that was pretty weird. For those that haven't watched Midsummer, it's about a cult. Midsummer, it's apparently like a festival somewhere in Europe. I'm not sure where. I think it was. I'm not sure exactly where. If you guys know where the country is, just let me know again. But it is some event. They do it. I don't know if it's annually, but it's like the dude made a fucking horror film out of that. It wasn't scary, but it was twisted. So I just kind of thought Hereditary must be somewhat of that. It wasn't like some scary ass shit. But oh boy, man, I got freaked out watching that shit. Like, it's just, if you're not into scary films, don't watch it. It's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. It's God. It's well made. I'm not gonna lie. If it terrified you, I mean, I guess it did its job. I'm not very good with jump scares because I don't like my heart jumping out of my chest. It's not ideal. If there's one thing that I would never ever do is in my entire career, it would be I would never film a scary movie. I don't think I would ever do that. Turns out I'm actually very good at it, but I'm never on set. That could very possibly be the case. What is the scariest movie that you guys have ever seen? Someone's saying Hereditary is not scary. Well, there's always going to be that somebody that says a movie like that isn't scary. But to me, God, like, I just get freaked out, man. I'm not good with that, man. But yeah, what is your most scariest film that you've ever watched because it was the Eye? Mind you, I'm not gonna look at the titles because it's just gory, scary. I guess I wouldn't. For me, gory, scary isn't really scary because it's not what keeps me up at night. But paranormal scary is terrifying. Just what you can't see is what scares me. I had to really think deep about what scared me. Wrong Turn, The Grudge. Of course, The Grudge is always something. It's definitely something that will always be scary, timeless, right? But you really have to think about why it scares you, right? And I like to really dive deep on why things are very, I guess, psychologically connected to fear. And I think it's the fear of the unknown. And what I mean by the unknown is you wouldn't know what that ghost would do to you, or what something that you've never seen, right, all of a sudden appear in front of you. And second of all, you wouldn't know what it would do to you when it catches up to you. And I think that's the most terrifying part. It's the unknown. So everything's linked to things that makes you unsure of things, right? Yeah, I think that's what's scary. But other than that, my fears. I don't think I'm scared of a lot of things other than time. Right? Time is, again, it's something that's, I mean, people did make time, but regardless, time is still taking. Something is still taking. Like, it's just never going to come back, and I think that's what's it's scary, so you just got to make the most out of it, right? But yeah, I mean, other than that, like, what else scares me? Let's see. Well, for starters, insects don't scare me. I grew up touching a lot of insects and getting stung by a lot of them. So they don't really scare me. Do snakes scare me? No. How about spiders? Well, technically they're insects, so they don't really scare me. What does scare me? It's pretty hard if you really think about it. How about the deep ocean? Does that scare you? Going deep into the ocean, I think that could be kind of scary. I'm not a sucker when it comes to swimming. Like, I love swimming. I love being underwater. I grew up on beaches. I grew up surfing and all that. But there is a point where, again, I feel like this is directly connected to the unknown. What's scary about the ocean is someone dropped you inside the middle of the ocean, you wouldn't know. Okay, well that's a different story. I guess, yeah, things like that would, if an alligator appeared in my bedroom when I was naked, would I be scared? I think I would be fucking terrified, because I'll be terrified and confused. I'll be confused because number one, I don't know why I'm naked. That's number one. Like, that must have meant someone came into my room and stripped me. Like, that thought would terrify me first, and then the alligator would come second. Because that person must have been something. Like, to be able to have taken all my clothes off while I was still sleeping and still manage to get an alligator inside the room all at once. My God, who can do that? And I think that thought would scare me, because you don't know who would have done that. Wait, so that's the actual beginning to a Saw film. Fucking hell, man, that's what I think. That's what Saw is, isn't it? Like, I haven't really watched Saw, but that's pretty much what it is. It's people all of a sudden they black out and then they wake up and they change to something, and for some reason they have about a minute to get this person to psychologically hate themselves, to convince them to I don't know, kill themselves first and then get the key to get out or something. If that was the case, yeah, I'd be terrified. If I woke up in a room such as Saw, I think I'll be very confused, because like, what must I have drank? How drunk must I have been? And I think the whole time I'll just be thinking of names that possibly might have spiked my drink. But then again, it could have been some random. But then I think that thought would linger on me for a very long time, that I would forget that I had a minute left to get out of the shithole. But maybe that's how. Yeah, and it's. I guess if it's for some sicko's entertainment, I think that's. You can always not. I mean, if you're gonna die eventually, right? Like, if there's absolutely no hope, and it's just absolutely seamless, then I'll make sure I wouldn't feed into that person's fetish. Yeah, I'll just give them something a bit unexpected. Yeah. I wonder how it would feel like to be a zombie. I really do. I guess you wouldn't. I guess it would be no different from being dead, right? Yeah. Am I scared to be alone? It's a very good point. That's a very good question. Sorry. If I think I'd be scared to die alone. But it feels like an inevitable scenario where it just, it was fate. Then I guess I would have no choice. But if I was on the hospital bed and I had no one around me, I think it wouldn't be scary. It would be very sad. It would be quite sad. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Hopefully. Are fairies real? Yeah, shit. Why not? I used to think Peter Pan was real. Until they kept changing the fucking actor for Peter Pan, and that's when I kind of realized, holy shit, all movies are fake. Yeah, I mean, no one did a really good job of telling me that movies weren't real back in the day. So I let my imagination go, which I think is actually for the better, because I used to think dinosaurs coexisted with mythological creatures. That would be a fucking crazy concept. If you have dinosaurs and then you had those Greek mythological creatures like the Minotaur, and you got the Kraken and shit like that, and you still had Zeus and all these gods, but you still have dinosaurs, and they're just everyone's just confused. That would be quite a concept. I want to believe dragons are real, for sure, yeah. If Hulk was a zombie, it would be... I mean, I technically think Hulk is a zombie, because the dude has no... I mean, later on, he does have control, but initially, he doesn't have control of his anger, his power, and it drives him into a absolute mental state. Well, I think that's what zombies are, really. It's just he doesn't infect people. He absolutely pulverizes them. And again, yeah, maybe Hulk isn't dead. That's a good point. But he is green. I mean, that's got to count for something, right? What if there's how come no one has ever made a concept where if you turn into a zombie, rather than taking away from your humanistic qualities, what if it heightens it? What if it makes you smarter? What if by turning into the dead, you become smarter? You become... you'll still be pretty ugly, and you still be rotting, but then you become smarter, you become faster and stronger. And it heightens your natural abilities to do things. Okay, maybe they already have a movie like that, but I'm talking in the sense of, well, actually, maybe they already have a movie like that. Yeah. Yeah, fuck. Super zombies, right? But vampires are you can't classify them as zombies, because, well, technically, can you? Because they do suck blood, but they don't really eat people, do they? And they can't go into the sun, which I found. Unless you're a Twilight zombie, then you can for some reason become a diamond ring under the sun. If you're a Twilight vampire, then then you can become a fairy at the same time while you're under the sun. So that can work in many ways. Speaking of Twilight, I feel like the transformation in from man to werewolf in Twilight was the most needless and painless transformation, right? Because the dude transforms in a split second, and all of a sudden he's like Mufasa or something. So I think Twilight is certainly a movie that you would, yeah, that kind of skips all those painful steps. Reincarnation, that is a very interesting topic. Reincarnation, it could be very well possible, you know, but it could be the very possibility that people might be mistaking reincarnation for actually being born a human again. You know, for all we know, we could be reborn as a plant, and you would have absolutely no choice. You know, because that's not the realistic part that they tell you about reincarnation. You can actually come into the form of absolutely anything. You can be born as an ant. You can even be born as an apple. But again, that's just not up to you. But then obviously your life would be seamlessly fast, and then I don't know, maybe that's how it works. Maybe the apple that the person eats later on goes into the reproductive system, and then yeah, you're a human again. Unless the apple was being eaten by an ape, then you would be an ape, or an elephant. Then you might be an elephant, but you just never know, huh? It's quite interesting. So if I was to be reincarnated, what would I want to be reborn into? Well, that's pretty hard, eh? I think I would definitely love to be reborn. I wouldn't mind being reborn as like a tortoise or something, like a turtle. But not like a turtle in a pet shop. That would suck. Probably like someone, you know, one of those ancient turtles. I don't know what you call them. That just kind of does whatever, and just no one bothers them, and you know, they just live out 200 years or so, just doing whatever. I wouldn't mind that. Either that, or I don't know. I wouldn't mind. Shit, I don't know, eh? Being born as a human again. I mean, that would be, I guess, ideal. But then just kind of seeing how the world's turning out right now, I don't know if that's ideal. That'll be pretty crazy. You know, it'd be a pretty crazy concept. A turtle vampire. A vamp turtle. That'd be freaking crazy. A vamp turtle. It's you know, it's like a turtle, but you know, it's a vampire. So you know, it's kind of like in disguise. So when it wants to go somewhere, just like it goes into its little shell. The shell kind of grows wings. Suddenly turns into like a bat. Starts flying. But then, you know, given the qualities of being a turtle, flies a little bit slower than any other bat. Takes a little bit more time to get to A to B. Yeah, I would actually that would suck, huh? Like there's actually no point of being a vampire when you're a turtle. Yeah. 잠 자야 되는데 잠이 안 오네. Yeah. What other interesting animal combinations do you think there would have been? You know, I think there's quite a lot. You know, if you have like a damn, if you have like a squirrel, right? Then you fuse a squirrel with, I don't know. Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be animals and animals. You can always fuse like insects with animals. Not that it would be a very orthodox type of thing to do, but I'm talking in the sense of like, you know, what if it like creates like this mutant type of, I don't know, this beast? Then it'll be like the dinosaurs all over again. You know, what if scientists are already doing stuff like that? You know, that would be pretty crazy. What kind of animals would you combine? That would be, you know, a porcupine with wings would be the real deal. That is actually not bad. Porcupines with wings. And then when it feels like fucking around with anything, it just closes its wings and just free falls on something. It's not bad. It's absolutely not bad. The word sad comes from sea and land put together. Isn't that sand then? A shark and an octopus. A sharktopus. I can see that. You know, it would have the same amount of tentacles, right? But the tentacles would have the teeth of sharks. It wouldn't have the suction thing. It would be razor sharp teeth. And on its little round head, it would have like a fin right there. And it would swim pretty freaking fast. A sharktopus. It's not bad. There is sand in the sea. So yeah, well, I guess sharktopuses it must be a common thing. It must be something. I'm sure there's like, I don't know. You think there's like, I mean, you would kind of imagine, right? Like, you have like lions and tigers, and you get like, what the fuck is that called? Well, you get like a mixed breed of all these types of animals, right? Like a horse and a zebra. You know, you would kind of imagine maybe like there's something like that in the sea life somewhere. A cat and a dog. Liger. Thank you for telling me. A cat and a dog, a cog. I know there's a animation called Cats and Dogs. I watched that growing up, but they're kind of conjoined, you know. Cats and dogs. That's pretty cool. But yeah, you would kind of think maybe like at one point a shark saw an octopus and was like, you know what, I'm not gonna eat you today. They just kind of like took it in or something. A bulldog and a Shih Tzu. A shit dog. Sorry, it came out wrong. No, it did come out. A bulldog and a Shih Tzu is a shit dog. Fucking hey, what a name. That's a very terrifying name. I'm sorry if there's actually a breed of a Shih Tzu and a Bulldog that's being made, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be called shit dog, but if that was the case, it would be a little bit more realistic, I would assume, rather than a sharktopus. Like, I don't see how that would work out. But a Bulldog and a Shih Tzu, like, I could see that working out. Well, it would be somewhat possible, right? Because they're both dogs. Yeah, or it would be a bullshit. That would make sense too. It's bullshit. If that was a joke and I somehow fucked it up, I'm so sorry. Like, that was... I don't know why the latter of me thought it was shit dog rather than bullshit. But I'm just that slow. I think I'm wired a bit differently. So anyway, what was I? What were we going to talk about? Yes, the fusion of multiple animals. Yeah, that would be quite an interesting concept, you know. That would be quite an interesting concept. What if you could design a new What if you can design a new animal? Now, what would it look like? What kind of features or distinctive attributes would a new animal have? Maybe there are new animals. Obviously, there must be. Like, we haven't even explored more than half the world. I'm pretty sure that there has to be some sort of new forms and new species, right? You know what I heard, right? So I've heard something very interesting. I heard that, you know, squids, octopus, octopi, or, you know, whatever you call them in a group, are actually not from this earth. Now, you know, some people may disagree, but this is what I heard, and I don't know if I don't know, it's just what I heard. But I heard that the distinct qualities of the octopus, you know, dates way back, like the squid, you know, anything that kind of looks like that, it isn't from Earth. It's from, it's actually a very alien type of trait, which is why in movies they make aliens look somewhat similar, like they have the tentacles and all that shit. It's not from the movies. What they say is it's the meteorite, whatever, or an asteroid or whatever from space hit Earth, right? And from that, the asteroids and the meteorite, it spawned certain types of cells that went into the ocean, or I don't know, and somehow evolved into now what we know as octopus and squid and all that type of shit. But no, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I think that's what I heard, but I swear to you, that's what I heard, you know, and that's, you know, and I don't find that too hard to believe, you know. We've had dinosaurs. Like, if you think about it, dinosaurs look fucking weird too. And you really think about it, right? We're just so used to dinosaurs. But if you think about it too, like, everything looks kind of weird in a sense, right? So, and everything could be possible. You know, like a T-Rex, right? It's like the biggest and most massive predator that, you know, was known to the dinosaur kingdom. And yet it had like the shortest arms. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, that's got to account for something. Like, it's just biologically weird. Everything is weird. You know, have you ever really looked at certain things that you were like let's say eating? Like, I know the other day that I was eating like oysters, right? And it just kind of struck me weird, because it just, I don't know, like, it was like, I can't believe we're eating this, but we're so used to it. We're so used to eating just weird things, and we're just so used to seeing things that we're just used to. But you don't really, if you really take time to just check out the features and how it actually really looks, you just step back a bit, and then you get taken aback for sure, yeah, and kind of, yeah, it does scare you a bit. But no, speaking of which, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever eaten? And would you eat it again? What is the weirdest thing I've ever eaten? What is the weirdest thing that I've ever eaten? What's the weirdest thing that you've ever eaten? Snake. Okay, someone says snake. I mean, I guess that could be weird. Or it could be a delicacy in some countries. Fried worms. Would we eat? That's a very good point. Balut. Oh yeah. I've actually always wanted to try balut. Yeah, I heard it's a bit of a delicacy there too. I'm not sure if it's an acquired taste, but you know, if for those that you don't know what balut is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like it's almost like a chicken's embryo, like, so it's almost in the form of a chicken, but it's not. But you still, it's an egg technically. But yeah, I think, I mean, the idea of it is quite alarming, but I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm always here to try new things. Would we eat dinosaurs if dinosaurs still existed? I think we would. I mean, fuck, I'll give it a try. I've always wanted to try T-Rex steak. You know how big that shit would be? I think I'll be like eating it till I think it'll last you for this whole epidemic. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe technically back in the Ice Age, you know, you have those cave people. I mean, they went hunting for mammoths and stuff like that. So technically, they did eat somewhat dinosaurs, if you were to say. Yeah, T-Rex steak. Mm-hmm. Expensive dino meat. Yeah, all this dinosaur meat talk is getting people hungry. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. Hunting it would be something else, huh? That would be something crazy. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I think we've covered a lot of topics today. We went from being on a deserted island to vampires, to dinosaurs, to the zombie apocalypse, to fairies, I believe, to the fusion of certain animals. Yeah, I think that's quite a lot, and it's quite interesting. There's a lot of fun things. This world doesn't teach you. You just gotta go out and go on that weird part of YouTube and just start just watching weird ass shit, and yeah, it's just, I mean, what can you do during lockdown, huh? What can you really do, you know? You know what I've always wondered? Let's say there is a different universe. I mean, you know, granted there is. You know, so there's multiple Milky Ways and galaxies out there. But yes, let's say there is a alien planet out there. Just as developed as us, if not more. Right? I'm sure a lot of the, I guess a lot of the things like that have to do with survival and all that type of things, and you know, if evolution does happen, I'm sure it does in a rich atmospheric environment such as ours. It's got to be a planet out there somewhere that is matching up to our timeline. I've always wondered, right, what would their music sound like, right? Like, what would, I mean, there's got to be some sort of entertainment, right? If they're just as evolved as us, they must know how to feel and express, right? But what would their form of entertainment be? And if it would be a form of entertainment, would it be like music? Would it be music? Or would it be a dance? Like, what would that be like, you know? There has to be somewhere that's just like Earth. You know, there has to be. But maybe, you know, in that planet, the dominant species weren't the apes or the primates or, you know, the Homo sapiens. What if it was like a different evolution of a different type of animal, you know? then their way of I guess expressing a certain art form, if they call it as, it must be different, you know. Oh boy, what if it's like a huge ceremony and everyone just starts dabbing, and that was it, you know, for us it's like a freaking cultural funny dance, but it's just like what if to them it was a dabbing is a sort of a greeting. That would be so hilarious. You don't understand. Finally, first contact history. As soon as they get off their ship, they just start dabbing, and you're like, you know what, we've beat you to it. That's so 2010. No, not 2010. I don't know when it was. My God, would that be such a craze? I'm sure that life form thinks about us as well, just as much as we think about them. You know, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time of who finds who first. And you know, it's just like they say, we actually might be the most dominant species. I'm just saying might, because we just don't know. Or we could be the most undeveloped species, you know. And have you ever thought about that, right? We as human beings, we evolutionize and physically. So technically, you know, we're still developing, we're still evolutionizing, if that's a word, more and more physically. So imagine, even if you go to the future, like let's say about 400 years from now, you know how different people would look. And the standards of what people would call beautiful or handsome or something, ideal features would be so different in 400 years time. It would be so crazy that I feel like we wouldn't recognize, like it wouldn't be human almost. I feel like, you know, I feel like that's definitely something. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that is gonna be something for sure. But yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if the whole reincarnation thing really did happen. Who knows? I might be like a monkey, but a monkey that's like looks more human later on than we do now. It'll be cool to live underwater. You know, it'll be really something to live underwater, to be able to breathe underwater. You know, that was actually one of my go-to answers if someone ever asked me, what would your supernatural strength or power be if you had a certain power? A lot of people would say flying. But have you ever really thought about flying? Right? I mean, granted, yes, swimming won't be much different if breathing on the water, but if you really thought about flying, like if you do manage to get up to a certain altitude, I'm sure you'll freeze to death if you're not wearing anything to that extent, you know. And if you're going as fast as a plane at that level of altitude, some sort, yeah, I'm sure you would freeze. But then flying at a very low altitude, I think would also somewhat be dangerous. But hey, you know, your eyes would tear up. Then you would have to have some form of goggles to be able to adapt to that. You know, also suit. You have some sort of like costume to help you adapt to flying. But yeah, you do fly in your dreams. I've flew in my dreams plenty of times. Aquaman is pretty cool. I think that's a pretty pretty cool character. Yeah. 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 My God, Marvel is such a well thought out, story. Character development, plots. It's insane. The amount of loops and the story continuity and the story and the character development is this. I mean, it's bound to happen, right? But it's crazy. It's just insane if you think about it. I'm trying to do something of that sort with DPR's universe, but God, I just, trying to do something like that. It's just, it's definitely not something to be taken lightly. Sleep paralysis. I've had sleep paralysis ever since I was in elementary school, in primary school. I've had sleep paralysis I still do. I have it, not as much now, but up to my 20s, I've had sleep paralysis at least 6 times a week. Once, every 2 days, or at most weeks I would have them at least every time I sleep. It became such a norm for me growing up that I didn't know what it was called, obviously at the time, but when I was a kid, I would always fall into what we know now as sleep paralysis, and for me it would be such a norm, and I would just figure out ways to get out of it. But I've had that ever since I was a kid, and I still do. Now I have it 3 times a week, but it's really not a big deal. I have my methods of getting out. When I'm in sleep paralysis, I hear things. I hear things very loudly. I hear things that aren't there, but I don't see anything. I've never seen anything. I've just heard a lot of things. And speaking on that note, it is time to sleep now. So thank you for putting up with me for so long. Thanks everyone. Thanks Dre for the questions, picking up my brain. It was fun. Hope everyone stays safe during this absolutely epic and horrible time. We're all gonna get through it, and I don't know when I'm gonna come on live next, but it was fun. Thank you for putting up with me. I know it must have been hard for you guys to listen to, but it was fun for me. So, maybe next time, I don't know, maybe I could speak more on my mind. But good night, everyone, and thank you guys so much for coming on. This definitely was one of the longest lives I've ever had, where I truly got to speak my mind. So good night. Everything I said today, again, it's my personal thoughts. Hope you loved it. Peace, good night, and I'll see you guys later, and stay safe.